so we're going to start with the consent agenda. Are there any items that we need to remove from the consent agenda and discuss individually?
I did not have any.
I didn't notice anything else.
Diane? Nothing? Okay, I would actually like to pull out the report of the executive director.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and approve the consent agenda without the report in it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda without the executive director?
I'll make
report?
that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call vote, trustee Alexander?
I'll abstain. I wasn't a part of the meetings in June, so I'm not comfortable approving those minutes.
Okay. Trustee Brazil?
Abstain.
Okay. Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Szynski?
Aye.
Okay. And since we need a majority, aye as well. So I wanted to pull out the executive director report just to highlight the One Nixa One Read program. I was so excited to walk in the door at that event, and I know Brandon's not here today, but please share with him that I was so excited to walk in the door and have it be as full and as crowded as it was. There was a constant flow of people. Everyone seemed to really enjoy it. I unfortunately haven't been able to attend any of the meetings or the discussions. Thank you for that word. But if you guys haven't seen what was going on at Nixa, they worked with, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Christian County Library, the Nixa schools, and the city of Nixa all combined together to start the Nixa One Read program. So over the last couple of months, people could go that first day and get a free copy of the book Wonder and read Wonder with their families, on their own, whatnot. They were discussion groups, and then tomorrow night at the park in Nixa, they're going to be showing the movie Wonder out on the park. So I think it's just a great way to get everyone reading over the summer, especially as a mom of 2 young children who don't like to read over the summer. It's great to have that family push and the fact that their friends are reading the same books they are. So I just wanted to make a comment on that one, and I think it looked like it went over really well. CC Links performed, and they were great. They were so fun to watch. So is there a motion to approve the executive director report?
I will make a motion to approve the executive director report.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, any discussion? All right. Roll call vote, trustee Alexander?
Right.
Trustee Brazil?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Szynski?
Aye.
Trustee I don't need to do it. Okay. Sorry, it's my first time leading the meeting, ladies and gentlemen, so I appreciate the patience. Okay, we'll move on now to the administrative highlights, Uncovering History Gravestone Cleaning Program.
I asked 2 of our staff, Whit Gillen Waters and Charlie Evans, to present.
Speak up, please?
I asked 2 of our staff, Whit Gillen Waters and Charlie Evans, to present about this. This is a program that is fairly new for the library, but has been received really well, and we have some really interesting experiences and stories because of it. So I wanted them to kind of present to the board and share a little bit about what's going on in cemeteries in Christian County.
Hello, my name is Charlie Evans. I'm the Adult Services Librarian.
And my name is Whit Gillen Waters. I'm the branch manager over at Sparta.
We're here today to talk about one of my most favorite adult programs, gravestone cleaning. I have lots of reasons why this is my favorite program, but we'll get into those later. Let me give you some background on how this unique program started. The gravestone cleaning program began as an idea that was presented to me in 2021 by a staff member, Taylor Baldwin. As a library, we were still not doing in-person programming due to COVID in the branches, but wanted to provide a few programs that we could do outside as a group. Taylor hosted the first grave cleaning program on October 16, 2021 at Rose Hill Cemetery in Clever. We had 12 people attend. Her expert, Nicole Wagner, attended to teach everyone. People were excited about the program and asked when the next one would be. We had to wait until 2022 and warmer weather to have another program. In 2022, the Gravestone Cleaning Project received the first Friends of the Library grant for $450 to buy supplies for the program. Among the supply requests for pump sprayers, buckets, and brushes was a chemical solution called D2. D2 is what makes gravestone cleaning work. It is the same solution that they use for all of the national monuments in Washington, D.C., including the White House and gravestones in Arlington National Cemetery. It kills any biological growth on the stone and removes stains only after 15 minutes of contact. It will even prevent regrowth for an extended period of time. We have some pictures of these transformations of the gravestones in the next slides. Since the purchase of these supplies, we've been to 8 cemeteries, some of them twice, had 12 programs, 85 attendees, and we've cleaned approximately 170 gravestones, and that's a conservative number. That's about 2 per person. Taylor also moved on to another job, so Whit and I took over the program this year.
I'm going to talk a little bit about what our process is that we use for cleaning the gravestones. So first we contact the cemeteries and the caretakers of those cemeteries and get permission from them to not only hold the program in the cemetery, but also clean the actual stones, because it is, we're bringing a crowd. So we want to make sure that everyone knows why we're there and what's going on. And we have gotten a very enthusiastic response from the caretakers of the cemeteries, because a lot of these graves are just not being cared for any longer. And so, and it's a lot of work for individuals, it's usually a small group of people taking care of them. So they very much enthusiastically welcome us. I was just gonna show a few of the things, the supplies that we bring. So it's listed, it's listed there. So probably the biggest thing we use is water. We have to wet down the stone before we can clean it. And this is just like a very gentle pump that is like actually, I'm not gonna, that's manually pumped. And then we also have a nylon brush, we have a little scraper, and then we have a little tiny cuticle that we can get into all the delicate bits on there. So what's growing on the gravestones is usually a biological, botanical, like lichen, moss, things like that. And so the D2 is the biggest thing that we use, and that is what will clear off that botanical matter. And so, where was I? We also conduct a demonstration. So the first thing we do, we welcome everybody, we hand out their supplies, and then we demonstrate on one of the stones. And we also tell them about how to judge the stability of the stone. You don't want it to be moving, right? We don't want it, the first rule is to do no harm. We don't want to make a bad situation worse. So if a stone is falling over, or if stone is what's called sugaring, which means the texture has kind of turned a little like grainy, if you touch it, we encourage people to leave those alone, because that's beyond our expertise as far as that goes, because we don't want to damage anything further. But if it's a stone that's in good shape and is stable, we then demonstrate a cleaning process that was taught to us by a professor of museum studies. It's a pretty straightforward cleaning process. You spray it, you scrape it, you scrub it, you spray it again, you put on the chemical, and you wait. And that is pretty much the entire process. So the actual process is pretty simple, but it's also a matter of time, because the D2 does turn red as you're processing, so it can be a little scary. It gets worse before it gets better. So it turns red and kind of rose colored, and then that will rinse away. And if we go on to the next slides, so right here on the left, well, in the middle is Charlie showing everybody the process, and then on the left here is the lichen that scrapes off the stone. So, and then on the right is one of the more beautiful stones we've seen. This one's in the Sparta Cemetery, and it's actually so gorgeous and has a lot of lovely grave symbolism on it. And so that's always a treat when we uncover something that has been kind of hidden up to that point. And so that was one that got worked on by one of the attendees of the program. If we go to the next slide, it's kind of the before and after. So on the left is the before, and then on the right is a month after we've done the cleaning. So actually, when we leave, it doesn't look like the final photo, because it takes a while for those chemicals to work on the stone and get rid of those botanical things that have been growing on there. And then nature does its thing and clears it off. So this first one is when we arrived, and then I had scrubbed a little bit of the engraving down at the bottom there, but that was like untouched aside from that. The middle one is after we cleaned. So that was what it looked like when we left. And then coming back a month later, a bird got on it, so it's not super perfect, but is a month later, it's bright white, and that was the result of that D2 cleaner. And it's such a stark and amazing difference, and they just basically glow after they've had that, and the rain and the water has been able to work the D2 off. So, does anything else?
Why do we continue this program? Because it combines so many interests of patrons and goals for libraries, such as storytelling and local history. Doing this program brings out stories of loved ones and even local legends. These are just a few of the stories I have learned doing this program. Jacob Painter is buried in Herndon Cemetery. He was the first blacksmith in Christian County. The guns he made are on display at Wilson's Creek National Battlefield, the Springfield History Museum, and the Ralph Foster Museum. Clarence and Roscoe Jones are buried at McConnell Cemetery, who lived their entire lives into the late 80s and early 2000s without electricity, running water, or tractors, as they preferred mules. They were also featured on the cover of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils' second album, Men from Earth. That's a picture of the album cover up there, and there are 2 gravestones. Leonie Carver, which is an absolute unknown person, but the interesting part about her stone is it says that she died at age 114, which I feel is pretty incredible. However, of course, me being a librarian, I had to go look on Ancestry to see if that was actually true. So according to her death certificate, she was 112 when she died. Yeah, right? However, when I looked at the 1900 census, it says she was born in 1821, which would have made her 101 in 1922. So it's kind of a mystery. However, looking at the census, it was revealed that she could not read or write, so it may have been the reason she could not remember. But it's a mystery, but it's an interesting one.
I'll give her the 13.
Yeah.
And also I
Once you
feel
get 101.
like a lot of the patrons who came were really taken by it, and
Yeah.
were really, it led to a lot of very interesting conversations about who this very old woman might have been.
Right. Another interest is just the art and the symbolism on the gravestones. As we uncover years worth of grime and growth on the stones, you get to see engravings and inscriptions again. And some of these were probably done by hand, so they are pieces of work or art themselves. It is an intergenerational program, which is absolutely the holy grail of adult programs. We have people in their 20s come, and we have people in their 90s come. However, the man in his 90s got a chair and sat underneath a tree and watched the rest of us work. But he came. It is a community service. We are cleaning the stones so that they can be seen again, whether that is because there is no living family anymore or because the living family doesn't know what to do. We provide access to the materials necessary to clean the stones for families or non-relatives that do want to come out and clean and learn. In our most recent program, 3 members of the McConnell Cemetery Board thought they were going to be the only ones to show up. To their surprise, 12 people showed up. The rest had no association with the cemetery whatsoever. They were so shocked that other people cared and wanted to be a part of this program. They went around thanking everyone that they came out on their Saturday to help them clean gravestones. And then also, a more obvious one is you're around death. And death is kind of a taboo subject. You get to see ways people are buried and the stones with the stories of their lives on them. And it makes people consider what their own wishes are for when they pass. Some people like to talk about it and others don't, but you cannot not think about it. We are proud of this program. Whit and I will be presenting on grave cleaning at the Missouri Library Association's annual conference in Columbia, hopefully encouraging other libraries to take up grave cleaning and help their communities out. We will be continuing this program through October on the second Saturday of each month. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, of course.
How long is one of the, like, how long are you guys out there?
2 hours.
2 hours? I think this is such a neat program. It's something that I would love to do, and oftentimes my Saturdays interfere, but I love that this is a program that we're involved in. TikTok has really made this very
Yes,
famous.
it has.
But it's so nice to see people giving back to their community, and thank you for providing an opportunity for people to do that.
And how can people find which location you'll be at on those second Saturdays and what times?
It should be in the event
In the event calendar.
or online.
Next one is going to be the Ozark Cemetery.
The Ozark City Cemetery right over here next to the square.
But it's been like a surprisingly great time, honestly. And it's, I mean, we just talk the whole time. So
Very fond of it.
yeah, it's really great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, no old business to discuss, so we'll move into new business. Welcome to new trustees. Echo is our new trustee from South County, from the Highlandville area, and Diane is our new Ozark trustee. So this is their first meeting. So glad you guys are joining us. Okay, officer elections, because we did have a switch with trustees, we do need to do some elections. Right now, we do not have a board president, we do not have a board treasurer. Both are a little bit important. So
You're all important.
we're all important. Just so for those of you who aren't familiar, there are 4 positions on the board and 1 at-large position. So everybody does play a crucial role on a small board like this. I am going to, I guess, assume is we want to start from the top and just start with president and fill that position. Do we want to fill the treasurer position? How would, I'll let you guys kind of decide.
I can't recall how we've done this previously. Do we just nominate a board member for the position?
I would
Yeah.
like to make a nomination.
Okay.
I would like to nominate that Allison would be president, would accept the role as president of the board.
Okay.
I base this on your experience and your familiarity with the job.
Okay.
Is there a second to that
Oh, I
motion?
second that motion. Your first 20 minutes have gone really well.
Okay.
No one's walked out in the first 20 minutes. All right. Okay. All right. I will accept the nomination if
Okay, do
elected.
we need to vote or?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is weird. Okay. I'll run my own election. Okay. With second, is there any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay. Roll call vote. Trustee Alexander.
Aye.
Trustee Brazil.
Aye.
Trustee Hagan.
Aye.
Trustee Sosinski.
Aye.
Okay. I'm
Congratulations.
stuck, thanks. Okay, so now that have been elected president, I cannot hold the role of vice president as well. I would like to, I can make a motion, right? Just double checking, triple checking.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Stephanie as vice president, just because, again, experience and having a history on the board to fill that role. So, is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. Any other nominations? No?
Can I add a
Yes.
comment that the role of the vice president will be a backup for sending checks, so you will have to do a Missouri Ethics Commission
Within the first
disclosure,
30 days, so we'll have
just
time.
in case you have any concerns about that.
Having skeletons in your closet?
All right, roll call vote. Trustee Alexander?
Aye.
Trustee Brazil?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Sosinski?
I?
No.
Abstain? Yeah. Okay, and there's a majority, so I don't need to vote, right? Okay. Tori's my Robert's Rules of Order, like, guru, so, like, she's making sure that I don't mess this up. Okay, especially this part. This part I really want to make sure I don't mess up. All right, so, Stephanie did hold the at-large position, so we do still need to hold the treasurer position. The treasurer does come once a week and sign checks and then when they can't, the vice president is the backup signature on that. So that is a really important, obviously a really important role to hold. Is there a nomination for treasurer?
I would like to nominate Echo to be the treasurer.
Okay, is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, I'll ask you if you're okay with the nomination. Okay, just check.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Question.
Yeah.
If Echo is unable to, is there a backup? Because the weekly is.
Well, you're the
You're the
backup.
I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure, just to get that, if you are unable,
Yes,
then
thank
I am
you.
able.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And if even both of them are out, then I as secretary am the ultimate third? No?
We just hold the checks until somebody's
Okay.
there. We haven't had that
Trust me.
happen. knock
Trust
on
me,
wood,
Mary's
so-
really good about writing the checks far enough in advance that if you don't get there when you're supposed to and it takes a little bit longer, you still get out on time, so.
And we can even like hand them through the drive-through, like we try to make it as convenient as possible.
Is that comfortable for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So we'll do roll call vote. Trustee Alexander?
I'll abstain.
Trustee Brazil?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Sisinski?
Aye.
All right, well, you guys made that painless. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, next new business, the All Fun audit.
I've asked our auditor, Mary, you come on up, sorry. Mary's been auditing our books for a few years now, so we just completed this one, and she works closely with our Director of Finance, Mary Miller. And now we have two double M names, so I gotta get the last names right. And this is informational for the board. You don't have to take action upon it, but we like
Okay.
to present it every year when it's complete.
Okay.
For you guys that are flipping through it, I'm going to start with the very first page, and this is the question that everyone wants to know the answer to. I issued you what is called an unqualified opinion, which is the foremost high of opinion that I can issue you as an auditor. There's nothing in here that says this is unqualified. How you know it's unqualified is there isn't a paragraph that says why this is unacceptable. So this is what is called an unqualified audit opinion. So most of like the first 3 pages are just accounting talk about the audit, but the pages that I want to kind of get to first that you guys are looking at, and kind of the most important pages are the actual financial statements, and that starts on page 4. You guys have the primary government, which is the library. You have a component unit, which is your foundation. And I'm sorry, I'm on page 4, Tori.
Yeah.
If we kind of compare, I'm at a slight advantage because I wrote down the 2021 numbers before I came so that I could compare the years for you and give you the information that you need. Your cash and cash equivalents went up about 30% between 21 to 22. Your certificates of deposit went down 50%. You cash went out and put it in your checking account is basically what we did and where the difference lies. Your restricted cash went down 36%. And I'm going to kind of talk about that a little bit later, mention it again, but the reason why is that restricted cash has to do with some of the debt that you guys hold and money that you spent related to that debt. So it's money that you've received in previous years, but you didn't spend until 22. Overall, your total net position went down 10%, but again, it was because you spent some of that restricted money that you've been holding specifically for your building and your capital outlay. We're going to skip page 5 just because it's kind of funky to read, but those same numbers are on page 7, just in a slightly different format that's easier to read. Overall, your county taxes did go up 4% between 21 and 22, and then your overall total revenue went up 6%, but the largest increase in your revenue would be in those county taxes. Your largest expense is your, generally it's your payroll, which is your personnel. There really was no dramatic change between 21 and 22, but like I said, the capital outlay did go up 198%, but that includes, that 2.4 million number includes the building, because it happened at the very end of the year, so it went into 22. So your overall expenditures went up 41%, but again, it's because of that building that's in there. And then that capital debt proceeds was the debt that you got to purchase the building. So some of the extra pages that are kind of following after are the footnotes. That information ties back to the financial statements if you were wanting just a little bit more information. In the treasurer, you can really dig into them if you want to, since you're new at it. One of the probably some of the questions, it's the restricted cash that I kind of talked about earlier, and I was talking about some of the money is specifically restricted for purposes, and it has, if you look on page 13, it's kind of where it talks about it, where it's specifically restricted for reasons, and a lot of it has to do with your debt and your debt service requirements. Kind of the next page that I'm going to talk about, and I'm kind of skipping, let me get there, is page 18, which is your budget. And this is kind of like your overall for the year, where it compares your actual expenditures to what you budgeted for the year. You guys, you did have a deficit, so you spent more than the revenue that you took in, which was the $311,000 roughly. It's kind of there towards the bottom, and I'm sorry that those numbers are really tiny and that you can't read them. But again, one of the reasons why you spent extra money had to do with the fact that you used some money that you had carried over from the year before. And I know I keep mentioning that, but it doesn't directly show up at extra money. It doesn't seem like it's not a line item under the revenue, because it's all the way at the bottom where it says budgetary fund balance. That's where that number comes into play with the debt money that you had carried over from the year before that you were using to spend on, I believe it was Sparta. Nixa, I'm sorry. See, I tried to remember off the top of my head, but so that is where that comes into play. And I know this is a lot of numbers and a lot of information that I just threw at you guys, but one of the questions that I also get asked often, other than the opinion, is do you think blah, blah, blah is financially sound? Do I think the library is financially sound? Yes, I would say that the library is financially sound, and you have the ability to expand your services and expand your buildings like you guys have been doing with the money that you guys have received from the debt. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot of information.
Actually, I do have
Sure.
a question. I don't know if I should address this to you or address this to somebody else. I'm brand new, so I may be asking the wrong person.
Tell us what page you're on.
Page 18, about slightly more than halfway down. It's the line item for insurance. It looks like $33,500 was budgeted for insurance, and then
Yes.
the outlay was $65,000.
And I can already tell you what that is. It's because it was 2 years worth of insurance.
Okay.
I asked the same question whenever
Okay.
I was doing the audit. Why did the insurance go up so much? It just happened to be in 22, you paid 2 years of insurance.
Okay, so if you look at 21, it's probably going to show that none was paid?
Yes.
Okay.
Good
Yeah,
questions,
which is good
thank you.
Billing timing.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, new best friend.
We're now going to move into public comment. As per the board's updated public comment policy, as a general rule, the board will not respond to public comments at the time they are made. The board may ask clarifying questions, comment, or take action at their discretion. Questions for staff about library operations should be made during normal business hours. Just a heads up, if these don't seem that they're in the exact right order, it's because they all kind of came in at the same time, so Tori did her best to order them as best she could, but know that that's really the only reason that they might be out of order. Again, we have 30 minutes allotted and 3 minutes to speak, so please respect everybody behind you. We do have 7 people speaking tonight, and that is based off of the historical time of that's taken. That's going to take up a lot of that 30 minutes, so we want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak who has taken the time to fill out a form to speak. So that being said, Tori, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Reggie, you're up first.
We'll take one then and pass them down. Good evening, everyone. Welcome our 2 new members. Thank each and every one of you.
Thank you.
What you shared about in the cemeteries, I thought that was great. Taxpayers like seeing their money going to things like that. Some of these other things we've been dealing with, of some of these books, we're not happy with. And I've got something here. I'll let you pass around if you want to look at it. This is what we're going to take a look at. Some of this stuff is kind of graphic in nature, but as a pastor, I come from a pastor's viewpoint and a tax-paying citizen. Paul said in Ephesians 5, he said to have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. That word means to expose them. One translation says tell everyone how wrong they are. Another one says expose them for the shame that they are. That's why I said in verse 12 that it's a shame to even speak of those things which are done of them in secret. I hesitated to do this, but I think we need to. I've shown these to some people and they said, you gotta be kidding me. And I said, no, I wish I was. You can pass these around. These are some of the books. I basically just took 2 of them. Took some of the pictures that's in those books, and some of them would make a sailor blush. Like this right here. Your kids can walk in the library and pick this trash up, and it's sickening. We've talked about it. We can't seem to get anywhere with you. I ask each one of you, just go through them pages real quick and look at it. And I want to just ask you, if you were a mother, had a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old son or daughter, would it be appropriate, you think, to bring them in the library and let them look at these type of pictures? All I ask for is a yes or no, so we got time for Echo.
No.
I
Just yes or no. We're running out of
don't
time.
have to actually respond.
Right, I know you
but
don't.
I would,
If you won't answer, we'll just take that you're saying yes, you believe it's all right. Stephanie? I'm sorry.
Diana.
3rd one down.
I'm not going to answer. I don't
I
have
didn't
to.
figure you would. The new one?
No.
No? Just yes or no?
Abstaining
Let's
is
move on
what
down
we're
to
supposed
Diane.
to do as
We're
the
out of
board,
time.
and it is not fair of you to know what is in my mind.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not, sir.
Because you try to put this stuff in our
No,
minds
it is
and in the
not, sir.
minds of our
Thank you,
children.
Reggie.
Let you know what we're dealing with.
Mike Miller?
I'm Mike Miller from Nixa, but for this presentation, I want to identify as Chris, a 20-year-old from Ozark. I was only 14 years old when I came across This Book is Gay here in the library in the young adult nonfiction section. The stories and graphics struck a chord with me. As a matter of fact, it gave me a new direction in life. High school is tough, right? I mean, everyone is trying to figure out who they are and who they can trust. I'd never had a girlfriend, and I wondered what it would be like, but I was scared. And who wants rejection? Well, then I found this book, which had some answers. It opens, it opens and says, this book is an instructional manual for everyone, no matter your gender or sexual preference. In one chapter, I learned that sometimes men like men, women like women, women like men and women, men like women and men. And sometimes people don't identify as a man or a woman. It's really that simple. And now I'm free because, as the book said, whatever you identify as, at the end of this book, you'll see that you are not alone. You're joining a vast collective of cool, happy, and inspirational people. And who doesn't want to be cool and happy? Well, page 17 offered more clarity. It says, you have very little choice about your sexual preference or gender, but you can decide whether to make it a lifestyle. So I did. On page 30, Rory, a girl, states that she always likes to dress up and be a boy. At primary school, everyone knew her as the girl who wanted to be a boy. Who wouldn't want to be a boy anyway? So that's what she became. And this is my story too. You get it? You see, I was once a boy, but wanted to be a girl. Page 51, one of the best things about choosing to identify as gay or bi is that you are already making your own rules. You're never too young to learn that the whole world is largely run and designed for straight, cis, white men, or the patriarchy. See, making my own rules is the fun part of life. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Well, page 156 was really great because it talked about how sex apps work. First, you upload a picture of yourself on the app, and then the app works out your location, and the app tells you where the nearest homosexuals are. And then because they are near, it is easy to meet up with them. I'll let your imagination take it from there. Well, there were also some great images, and I'm going to pass these out to the board on pages 171 and 78. They help me understand how to practice anal sex, stimulate erogenous zones, and more. And it was all right there. I didn't have to speak to my parents or other kids. I could just get out there and enjoy myself.
Holly?
I really don't have much to say. I just wanted to say I support the library and what they've done for the community, and looking through their list of programs and things is just, it's great. It's great for this community, and this community needs this library very much. And there's been such a difference in the last few years that I've noticed. And I do understand the parents who are concerned with their children and what's happening or what might happen to their children. Basically speaking, I would suggest that they go into the library with their children, or at least make sure of what the child is picking up out of the library if they're taking the library out. But to me, that is the most important part, because libraries are there to serve everyone. And so what you may believe is not necessarily what he may believe, or want. And a lot of kids need that sex education. So anyway, I support the library, and I thank you all for being here and caring about the library and your children.
Gretchen?
Welcome to the new board members, and thank you for serving every one of you. Since our Secretary of State has discontinued giving any funds to the ALA, the American Library Association, due to its attempts to suppress the Brave Books event, I believe the time's come to look at our own Libraries Association with the ALA, which uses the Library Bill of Rights under the guiding policies in our manual. I'm very grateful that there's been no opposition to the Brave Books here, but our library has adopted that political agenda from the ALA that's integral to their plans for America's libraries. The ALA's president, Emily Durbinski, is an avowed Marxist. It seems wise to look into these political statements that they make on the ALA website, but have no force of law. I'm concerned particularly with the rights 4 and 5, but I'm only going to speak about number 5 tonight, which states, a person's right to use a library should not be denied or abridged because of origin, age, background, or views. These statements are used to give all access to all library patrons, regardless of age. Since when have local libraries become politicized to the point that preventing the sexualization of children has become a bad thing? Why shouldn't age be a factor when accessing a library's materials? It's common sense to prevent children from accessing materials that may harm their mental, emotional, or even physical being. Preventing harm in no way contributes to the censoring of or banning of books. That happens when governments remove books from the public to prevent their publication and distribution. What we're asking for is not that, and the ALA and a lot of local libraries will insist that we're censoring and banning books, and it's quite frankly a lie. Why are libraries sexualizing and indoctrinating children by giving them open access to explicit materials in the children's and teen section of the library? According to our policy manual, the Board of Trustees is responsible for working with the director to set the library's policies. I'm asking, could the board task the director with revisiting the guiding principles of our library and amending them to reflect an approach that is more in line with community standards and a more traditional understanding of libraries? Thank you.
Elizabeth?
Thank you for letting me have these 3 minutes. I appreciate it, and thank you to everybody who's serving tonight. We appreciate you. My name is Elizabeth Dudash-Buskirk. I'm a professor at Missouri State. I've met 1 or 2 of you before. I'm not really sure how, but it's always good to get our communities together, to look at them, to see them come together. I am down here from Nixa, where I currently live, and I am sort of semi-representing an organization called U-Turn in Education. U-Turn in Education is doing what we hope all libraries are supposed to do, which is to promote education for everyone. I think that I was only going to say to you tonight, thank you so much for doing the One Nixa One Read program, for allowing our city councils, our school boards, our school districts, and members of the community to work together to bring our community closer through things as what seems simple to me, such as reading. Reading and every single book on a shelf is an educational opportunity. That's what it is. How we choose those educational opportunities is that we are provided with an array of what people believe are good educational opportunities, good books, however we evaluate those. And then we expose ourselves to them in the sense that we read them, hopefully, and absorb some of them. Some of them we reject outright, some of them we accept, some of them we want to be a part of. In addition to that, as someone who has,
Excuse me, sir.
Better get this guy under control back here.
Nothing, I didn't want to view this paper. I didn't touch you.
You did. I had my hand, you hit my arm, my hand.
Can we restart the speaker's time?
You can just
pass it to the
I'll
you can
pause
just
it.
give me like 10, 15 seconds, thank you.
Sure.
As someone who got their PhD with the following justification of spending that much money and spending that much of my life on it, the answer is I love the smell of paper. I wanted to smell books. I wanted to be around it, and I wanted to feel the way the book felt in my hand. My daughter now reads off of an iPad, but it seems to me that she's getting educational experiences as well. I would like to bring up that I was at a county commissioners meeting a couple of months ago. And I said the same thing that our friend Holly said. I said, how about if we go to the library with our children? How about if we read the books that they're bringing home from their schools? I did this with my son when he was in high school at Nixa. I do it with my stepdaughter, who I only see periodically. We talk about what books she's reading and what lessons she's gaining from those books. And I was told in no uncertain terms that, I was called a lot of names that day, but the one that stuck with me the most was not all of us parent like it's the 1960s. As someone born in 1974, I'm offended, but as someone living now who's had children, why wouldn't you parent that way? Know what your kids are doing, and if you pay attention to that, then you'll be able to let your kids read whatever they want, you want them to, and restrict them from whatever you want them to.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Mike Rogers?
My name's Mike Rogers. I'm a taxpayer in the county for many years, most of my life. I've got 5 grandchildren in school here in this county. I'm retired from the State Patrol 30 years. I worked 20 years of that criminal investigation, much of it here in Christian County. I picked up a lot of dead people, a lot of suicides, a lot of homicides. People that got that way because they were mentally ill. And I want to tell you, the trash that is on display for the kids in these libraries is filth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mike or Chris or whoever you think you are, truly I do feel sorry for you. Because your very physical presence tells us all we need to know about homosexuals.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you. I'd like for you to think about, ask you a question. We have an Air Force that's recruiting with drag queens. What has this country become? The world leaders around the world are laughing their tail off at the United States. They know how ridiculous it is. That's one of the, and this is just one of the reasons this country is failing. You know, not to say anything about a president that takes millions of dollars in bribes from other countries. Right.
When did that happen?
Oh, it's been going on for several years now. You know, children are called children because they don't know anything when they're little. We all started out innocent and not knowing anything. We had to be taught everything. Children need to be taught the truth and what is right. Kids don't even know what to eat. Okay? They don't know not to walk out in the street or touch the stove when they're little. We have to teach them everything. And they'll become a product of their environment.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the local representative is going to introduce some legislation to do away with some of the trash that we have in the libraries. And I thank him for that, and I hope it goes forward.
Yes.
I'll do whatever I can to support it. Because I think this forum right here, it's a good way to get our message out, but it's a poor way to get things done. We're going to have to take the bull by the horns, is what they say. If you want to get things done. Freedom of speech does not include speech likely to harm others. And I know that's what the library board hides under.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to botch this name, so please, I apologize in advance. Eilina?
Yes, Eilina. I have to have notes with me or I'll forget everything. So I spoke last month to ask you all to remove, move, not remove, but move inappropriate and pornographic material out of the children's and juvenile sections of the library, just somewhere else. After the board declined to take action, I left the meeting feeling frustrated and disappointed that excuses were made to avoid protecting the children in our community from obscene and confusing material. But I'm actually here today with a lot of optimism. Our community is waking up,
and we have new board members here. And I hope that you guys are gonna better represent Christian County. I know you will. In the last month, I've actually spoken with over a dozen people who have been just as shocked as I was at the level of depravity being handed over to our children. Just like other human atrocities throughout history, I think we're gonna look back and be ashamed that it took all of us so long to act.
Yes.
But with every person that wakes up to this new reality and takes off their blinders, our community grows more informed and stronger. So I've not lost heart. In fact, I've actually gained inspiration. My heart does not only lie with the voiceless, though. I'm also brokenhearted that the adults in charge, the adults in the room, have either kept their heads down to avoid being uncomfortable in comfortable conversations, or having themselves promulgated the sexualization of children. I do not hate anyone who takes that path that I disagree with, but I do want to pray for them and for the future direction of the library. So if I'm not going to be prevented, I would like to pray for you guys. Not everybody has to take part. Father, this is uncomfortable. You know our hearts and our deeds, and you are good and everything good in this world. Help your people to be the salt and light so desperately needed to love and affect Christian County and to care for the least of these. I lift up this new library board to you and all of the employees of the libraries. Please give them the boldness to do what is right even when it's difficult. Isaiah 65:2 says, "All day long I've held out my hands to an obstinate people who walk in ways not good, pursuing their own imaginations." We have fallen short, Lord, but you are faithful and good even when we fall short. We have been complacent and we've not shown up to be the light that you've called us to be.
Yes.
So please give us the strength. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, seeing as there is no other business, this meeting is adjourned.